Hi everybody, this is a tutorial to help you get started creating that very first scenario plus module. All right, so the first thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go to that place where you're all organized, right? You've got that folder for this project. You're going to create a new file and you want to get a Google form. When the Google form comes up, it's going to look like this. I'm going to tell you later in a different tutorial how you can kind of change colors and backgrounds. You might be able to figure that out on your own as well. The first thing that you want to do is you actually want to title the form. So for my example, Toy Story, scenario, and archetype, because that's going to be the first module that I'm going to attach to my scenario. All right. The next thing you want to be sure to do is you've got the form titled, but you also want the title, file titled, which means that you need to go to that untitled form up there in the top left-hand corner, give it a click, and you want to make sure that you're titling each section the first thing you do, and it will make some of the work that's about to come much easier. If you remember, what you're going to do here for this scenario, I'm going to show you the actual example, is you're going to start here by creating that scenario that you want people to walk through. Once you have that written, so you're going to write here, you're going to compose that entrance question, right? So lots of ways you can do this. Are you ready to begin? Enter here. However you want to creatively come up with this. When you create this, a question in forms, the default is a multiple choice question. This is what you need to know about creating almost like one of those secret codes, that when you do that, you're going to choose either probably a multiple choice question or a short answer one, where you need somebody to have exactly the right answer in order to move forward. So we're going to start with the simplest of this. If you remember on that enter or beginning one, the options were yes, no, maybe. As soon as you have that figured out, you want to make sure that you require it, and you're going to require every single question that you create, and then you're going to make a new section. We're going to make new sections often as we go through this process, and you want to title that immediately. So I'm going to call this archetype analysis. So this will be the section, the first module that somebody else is creating, not as a group, but an individual. And this is going to be that analysis. So in order, though, to get the person doing the breakout to move from this section to this one in the way that you want, you have to do something special up here with the questions. Otherwise, what's going to happen is they're just going to automatically go from one section to the next, and you don't want that to happen. So you're going to click back on this question. It opens up all the options again. Down here by that required button are three little circles. You're going to select go to section based on answer. So when you have this, you're going to see that you have options. So now you're kind of creating pathways, and that's a great way for you to think about it. You're creating a pathway for the person who's having the experience. So yes, are you ready to begin? You want them to then go to the section called archetype analysis, and this is why it's so important to title every section, because if you have a bunch of untitled's, it gets pretty confusing. So that's where we want them to go. So if they say no, they're not ready, then we want them to go back to the beginning of this section, right? So they're just going to go right back to where they were at, and the same applies there. Once then you get to this question, let's take a look at what the ultimate one looks like. So then the next section looks like this inquiry, right? And this is the section where you are able to give a little bit of a description. In this particular one, you can start by adding video. So you don't even have to have a question to get started. So let's say I have my description, a little info goes right here. And then really what I want to do here is I want to add some like a video, or I want to add an image that it's not attached to a question, right? Just something that I want them to watch. So that's where I can select add a video. I'm just going to put that URL in, and then it shows up. The same thing would happen with a photo or an image. If I put an image in here, I would just select it and it would show up to look just like that. Then what you can do is add questions, right? So once you decide you're ready to add a question, you're going to click on that plus sign. And then you get all of these options. So you might have a short answer. So maybe they've just watched that little video that you put in there. And so then the question you want them to answer maybe is the series of images that's going to come up. Or maybe it's a question about the video they just watched. So what did you notice in that video? Okay, so that could be your question. You want to make sure to require it. Then if you have another question, it's just going to automatically come right after that. Again, you can create all of these different options, and that's kind of how this carries on, okay? Let's take a look at how our original progressed. So you can see that these were images, and these images were all based on this one question. So if I click on this, you can see there's the question. Here's another one, right? So here are the series of images. And automatically, this is going to take me to a next section. So you need to decide when you are ready to add sections. Whenever you're ready to add sections, again, you're going to click on that Add Section button. Sometimes you're going to just want them to automatically go from one section to the next, which is exactly what happened right here. I don't need the person participating in this to do, have a secret code yet, right? So here they're just going from one section to the next. And then I'm creating more of an experience for them, right? So here we go. So I'm going to open this up so you can see what it looks like. I started with the description here, included a web address for the article that I wanted everybody to read. This excerpt is actually a screenshot from that article. So I opened up the article, I took a screenshot, and then uploaded that as an image, right? I just added that image right there. And then we get to the point where it's time to do the first secret code. Okay, so let's take a peek at what this actually looks like in here. So this is a new question. When you are creating something that has a secret code, once again, it needs to be either multiple choice or a short answer. When you do the multiple choice, we're going to practice having those good distractors. If you notice how I wrote it, it's time to uncover your first secret code in order to advance. It needs to be in all caps. So if I click off of here, you can see, right, that I have all of those in caps options there. So I go ahead and I write all of my descriptors, and once I do that, I'm actually going to also create this next section. So not everybody is going to see section 4, but I'm going to have this kind of as the default at each module, so that if they don't get the right answer, I have a way to send them back. So you're going to create this section 4, oops, that's not it, try again, or some version of that. Then I'm going to come up here and show you. So once I've created that section, remember I'm going to go down here, click on go to section based on answer, and then I get to decide. So I'm going to continue to the next section. That's the default. You could also see how I could send them actually to anywhere that I wanted to. But this one is, oops, not it, try again. This one is oops, not it, try again. Sid the Mad Scientist is the right answer. So this part is really important. When they have the right answer, I want them to go to submit form, okay? Because that's going to be the button that they push to get them out of the module. This is the wrong answer, so I'm going to go, oops, that's not it, try again. So I'm hoping that makes sense. And so we end up with all of this right here. The last thing that you want to make sure to do is you want to make sure that you are creating a way for you to customize that submit button. All right, so I'm completely done, but I still have to add that customized submit message, right? So once everybody submits, they need that customized message. So the way that we do that at the very end is you actually go to the back up to the top. You're going to go to the gear, hit settings. You have general, you don't need that. You're going to go to presentation, and there are a couple of things you should click at presentation. I would click on the show the progress bar, which lets people know as they're going through the module, you're at 1 of 4, 2 of 4, 3 of 4, whatever that might be. And then you have this confirmation message, and that's the part that you are going to change. And this is where you get to add that literary analysis, right? So congratulations, you've uncovered the secret word for the next part of your experience, okay? So you get to add that, and you can see it goes on for quite a while in that confirmation message. And then I'm going to save that. So that's the message people get. I'm going to show you the confirmation message for a couple of these, just so that you can kind of see once again where that literary analysis is, right? So the parts where you're kind of doing this literary analysis, you can have that be several paragraphs long, right? Or as long as you want it to. So I just want you to kind of think about that. All right, so there you go. This is how you're going to get started on creating those modules, and then essentially you follow this process for each additional module, and you're going to be awesome.